So we're just having a little bit of issues with the projector. So it's okay. We're going to just modify how we're going to do this a little bit. So first, I just want to say thank you. It's actually nice that we can see you in person. I know we still have our masks on, but it's definitely a nice change to feel like we're connecting a little bit better this year. We have a new counselor that I just want to, since she's going to now be helping with the slides, and she's going to be in the back of the auditorium. I just want to give a shout out because some of you may or may not have met her, may or may not have spoken with her yet. But if you had Miss Levy, you now have Miss Ardendine. And Miss Ardendine's in the back of the room. She'll just give you a little wave. So you guys, if you haven't met her yet, you will as you begin to come in for your senior meetings. With a show of hands, because I always just like to gauge the audience, how many of you, and this is probably more of a question honestly for the parents, how many of you this is your first time going through the college process with your child? Okay, so we have a lot. So that's good because then, there will be a lot, you're all kind of have a lot of questions, and then some of you, who has been through this before? Okay, so a little less, but you kind of have some familiarity about what we're doing right now. So these are some of the things we're going to talk about tonight. The other thing I want to share, and students, this is a little bit more for you. Parents, you will also communicate with them. But if you come into guidance to see your counselor, we have 2 administrative assistants, and one of them is new, okay? And her name is Miss McKessie, and when you walk into guidance, she's, if you walk in, the one to the right, and Miss Redmond is the one to the left. So I just want you to know that because she will be helping with the transcript process as well. So if you get an email from her or you haven't met her yet, but you will come in and meet her, that's who she is. She's new to guidance, Miss McKessie, okay? Throughout the presentation, we are going to share some information, and we might repeat it again a couple times. It's just because it might be something important or because we know that there's a lot of information we're sharing with you. And we just want to make sure that we focus and get a few main tips. I think the projector's working now, but we're just going to do it this way. Okay, so I always like to share popular matriculations with you. And the reason I share this is because we know every year there's always students going to different colleges. And I would say, and Miss Massia, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce Miss Massia, who's also presenting with us tonight, and many of you already know who she is. We see students more and more going to schools across the U.S. It's really amazing. And so I would say that sometimes you might notice a little bit of a trend where there's a couple schools that are kind of the hot schools of the year, a lot of kids are applying to, could be for sports or a music program, many different reasons. So I just like to share with you to give you an idea of, am I controlling it? Okay, because I'm hitting it, so I'm just looking at it here. I just like to give you an idea of where we're seeing some trends. So this would be what we saw happening a lot last year, okay? Now if we go to the next slide, other post-secondary options. I just want to say to you, if you're sitting in the audience and you're not sure exactly what you want to do yet, or you're thinking you might want to apply to the community college, or you're thinking military, naval, maybe you're thinking you want to do a trade school, okay? Maybe you want to take a gap year. These are all very important things. These are more specific things that I would absolutely want you to make an appointment and talk to your counselor about. We will touch on some of these things, but you're going to hear us talk more tonight about the college 4-year, 2-year application process, okay? So we recognize that there's a lot of other things that are going on, and we're seeing that more and more each year. That's fine. Let's talk about that one-on-one so we can build a custom program for you and we know exactly what it is that you want to do, okay? And each year we do have students, especially last year and the year before, who are taking different paths. So that's something that we can talk about with your counselor, okay? And I'm going to share this on, just so you know I didn't say this, I'm going to share this on the website, under our guidance website, under presentations. There's a tab that's actually called presentations. And we're also recording it, and I will share the recording on the website because we know that there's a lot of people who may not be here tonight, and so I want to give them the opportunity to watch this. Okay, so the impact of COVID. This is probably something you're wondering about. Maybe you spoke to students who applied last year. One of the biggest things we're noticing is less of the personal campus visits, interviews, and more virtual. Okay, so that might be something you guys experience, and we're going to talk a little bit more in depth as we go through the slides. But it doesn't mean that everything else changes. It just might mean your interaction with the college changes a little bit. And we're going to talk about some opportunities that are happening in the high school for a lot of colleges that might help you still reconnect with the colleges if you don't get to go and have a live tour on campus. Okay, so campus visits. Let's talk about that. It used to be a little more flexible. You were driving by a campus, take a stop, go walk around. You could call, sign up, and make an appointment to jump into a tour. It's a little bit more limited now, okay, for capacity reasons. So this is what I'm going to say to you. If you're thinking, oh, teachers convention, I'm going to go see a couple, we have off a couple days, I'm going to go see some schools. Oh, next week, I'm going to be out here for a family thing. We were going to go see a school. You should call, okay, because could it happen that you go to campus and you can't jump into a tour? It could happen. And let me tell you why it's really important to call and be part of a tour. When you go and you take a tour at the actual college and they ask you for your name and they sign you up for a tour, they're now registering you into their system. And if you go to apply to that college and you tell them, we were here for a tour, or you did a couple other things at this campus, you stopped in maybe twice for 2 tours, you want to tell them because they can see that. And so when the college reps are looking at applications, they can see if you've ever been to their school or if you haven't. So if you're going, let them know. Let them have your name and register you for a tour. Okay, so just please keep this in mind. 2 websites that when I post this, you'll be able to click on them. Fair Test and the NACAC. Fair Test is test optional schools. We know that this is another thing that we're seeing more of because of COVID. A lot of schools are test optional. It's almost like all schools are test optional except for a small portion. So if you were to click on this link, it would take you to a website to see which schools are test optional. Okay, so if you haven't explored that yet, that would be something you'd also want to check out. The NACAC is, they hold a ton of tours. They used to hold fairs, college fairs. Obviously, that would be a lot of people in big venues. So they're doing them virtually now, but they have a lot of them. On my guidance website, I have the tours listed and the link that will take you directly to them so you can sign up. So you don't have to worry about getting it from the PowerPoint. Go to the guidance website. There's an actual senior page, and then there's a student information page. And there's a lot of stuff in there that you can go and click on and get information about college virtual tours. Okay? So let's talk about financial aid. I'm only going to touch on this briefly. On October 6th at 7 o'clock, virtually, Ed Zamora is going to do a presentation, and it is intense. It's a lot of information. So for parents in the audience, I'd recommend having some paper and some notes. He usually records it, and I can repost it later in the week. His is going to be, it's currently posted on the guidance website under presentations, a link for you to sign up. You have to sign up in advance, and then he'll email you the link to the evening event. He shares a lot of information, okay? He would be great to watch. So I know it's a little bit far away, but he's going to go over all the nuts and bolts of the financial aid process, okay? He's going to ask and share some tough questions like, should we apply? Should we not apply? Will we qualify? Will we not qualify? Are we a single family household? Are we, tax information? So he goes over it in pretty in depth. So I would recommend that you attend that. The FAFSA, so let me just mention that too. Again, something he's going to discuss. The FAFSA is the actual application for student aid, okay? That opens up October 1st for everyone. Now, you could say, is it better to do it the first week of October and get it done with? Does that help my chances of getting money? I don't know with COVID if it shifted all that much, and Mr. Zamora will talk more about that, but they used to say the faster you got it in, while the money pool was larger, in a better position you'd be versus waiting till the winter or spring. But also part of the financial aid in deciding to apply is a little bit of where you think you're going to apply to college, what that tuition rate looks like. So there's a lot of components when you sit down with your family and decide if you should apply or not, okay? But it opens October 1st, and sooner rather than later would be better. You can also visit the HESA website, which I'll post for you. The CSS profile, I'm just going to mention that briefly. It's not really very common, but it is still out there. It is like a financial aid application but it's a little different than the FAFSA, and certain schools require it, okay? So that might be something that when you go to apply to a private school, they might ask you to complete, okay? So it's like another version of a financial aid application. Okay, so I kind of think this part you guys know a little bit about the actual terms that we use for the application process. And this is something, students, I'm saying to you, when you meet with your counselor, this is going to be a big part of your conversation. Here's the schools I want to apply to. Here's the schools I'm not sure of. What's their deadline? What type of application process do they have? Okay? College rep visits. Something else I wanted to share with you, and again, students, I'm kind of speaking to you a little bit on this. Your Naviance student account. If you go into your Naviance student account, and you can see at the bottom where I have the steps, you can see which colleges are sending a rep here to Madison High School to sit down in the guidance office with anybody who signs up and talk to them about their campus and their college and what they have to offer. So I need you to go on to that. I need you to see the colleges that are coming in person, and then you'll also see a large amount of colleges who are going to offer a virtual opportunity through Zoom to meet with them. The times vary and the days vary because we know that the reps are not on a high school schedule, they're on a traveling because they're moving around from school to school. So they're on a different schedule. So you may have one rep at 11, you may have one at 1 o'clock, you may have 2 in a row that are through Zoom. You are welcome to attend these, but what's very important is that you let your teacher know. If you have a test, if you are presenting on a project, you can't just not be there. You will be held responsible if you do not let your teacher know. If you make a pass and you decide you are going to go and you change your mind, you have to let, in Naviance, you have to go in and cancel. So, because when you guys come down, we take attendance, just to cross-check. So if you're not going to be there, we might go looking for you, and we don't want to do that. So if you decide, I signed up for these 3, I don't want to go, no problem. Jump back into Naviance and just cancel your appointment, okay? So please take a look at that. And also one other thing I just want to share, it changes. We've had a fair amount of reps sign up to come in person and then decide to cancel and make it virtual, obviously with COVID and stuff. So just cross-check. Like if you're signing up for one now and it's a month away, go back in as the time gets closer and make sure it's still in person, okay? If it's virtual, the link will be there for you to join. You're welcome to join here in guidance if it's during the day and you're here in school. If it's at the end of the day at 1:45 if you're going home, you're welcome to do it from home, okay? Obviously, you can't do it in your classroom, so I'd recommend coming down to guidance and bringing your Chromebook and doing it from there. Okay, senior meetings. You heard me mention those. Am I on senior meetings? Okay, perfect. What is my senior meeting? How many of you know what your senior meeting is? Okay, good. Not a lot of hands, but we got some. You are going to meet with your counselor to talk about the college process. We are starting them September 14th. We kind of wanted to meet with you tonight first to give you some information so you can prepare for your senior meeting. How do you get a senior meeting? It's kind of easy. You either email your counselor, I'd like to set up my senior meeting with you, or you stop on down to guidance and they will pencil you in for a time that works. Obviously, the most ideal time is when your core classes and your classes have ended at 1:45. We know you need to eat a little something. So, but it's not going to fit everybody in, right? So we kind of just would rather pull you from certain classes than others. So that's why your counselor is going to want to kind of look at your schedule and see where they can meet with you. Okay, what do you need for your senior meeting? You need to bring your Chromebook because you're going to be going on to Naviance and you're going to be doing stuff with the Common App. Okay? You need to make sure that you have your password and username for Naviance and any information from the Common App. Okay? So if you've created accounts to this stuff, you have to bring that with you to the meeting because you might need to log in, okay, with your counselor. The other thing is, I just want to mention, how many of you did not submit your junior survey? No one wants to raise their hand. I'm hoping that means everyone in here submitted their junior survey. If you don't know what a junior survey is, let me tell you. I hope you do know. Your junior survey was a packet that had a lot of information about yourself. So your counselor could read it and write your letter of recommendation. If for any reason you did not yet submit your junior survey to your counselor, please do that before your meeting, okay? Because they're going to have questions for you. So it would be most important to have it before you come to your meeting. Okay, and now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Massia.
Thank you, Ms. Internicola. I'm short, so I'm adjusting. Okay. I'm curious how many times I'm going to think that I'm controlling the projector from this computer. Let's see how many times I do that. Okay. So I just want to piggyback on something Ms. Internicola was saying, just in terms of your senior meeting. I just want you to know that we understand that every senior is in a different part of the process right now. Some of you might be sitting here thinking, I've almost finished my Common App, I know exactly where I'm applying, and that's great. But if you're not in that position yet and you don't know where you're applying or you don't even know where to find the Common App to begin, that's okay too, okay? So I don't want anyone to feel ashamed or nervous or like you have to be at a certain part of the process to meet with your counselor, right? We're here to help you. So get on our calendar and we'll meet you where you are in the process, okay? Okay, so let's talk about starting your application and sending it. You should be figuring out which application your schools take, okay? If they accept the common application, that is the preferred way of applying. It's the most user-friendly, it streamlines the process, okay? You guys are lucky to have this as an option. I remember having to do my applications by hand. I have terrible handwriting. I would scream at my mother and blame her. And we had all separate applications, okay? So this is a really nice way. It's a standardized online application, right? And if your college accepts it, this is what you want to do, okay? Rutgers, as you know, Rutgers does not accept the Common App. There are certain schools that don't accept it and you don't have a choice. You have to do their application, okay? When you start your Common App, you're going to add the colleges that you're applying to through the Common App. You're going to complete all the necessary tabs. You're going to sign the FERPA, okay? And I'm going to talk more about that. You do not request your teacher letters in the Common App. So let me just clarify something, especially for the new parents to this process. You apply to college on an application or on the Common App, right? But the reason that Naviance needs to be an important part of everything we're talking about is that that's how we send your material, okay? You apply via the Common App, we send your school materials through Naviance. Those two websites, those two online databases need to communicate properly. So a lot of what I'm talking about tonight is making sure you are buttoned up in both your Common App and your Naviance so that the channels are open properly for us to send your stuff to the colleges. You with me? Okay. Because people get confused. Do I apply from Naviance? No. Okay? That's where we keep track of everything, and that's where you have to keep track of everything accurately. But that's not where you actually apply to college from. But that's where we send your stuff from. Okay. Next slide. Common application versus direct to institution. Anything that's not the Common App is what Naviance calls direct to institution, okay? Rutgers is direct to institution. You're not going through the Common App. If you do something called the Coalition App, which like University of Washington and Seattle takes, that is direct to institution. Anything non-Common App is direct to institution, okay? Again, the Common App is accepted by over 900 schools. Think of it as the American Express. It's accepted at most places, but not all, okay? On the Common App, they have a main part of the Common App that you fill out just one time. But then each college you're applying to asks their own separate set of questions. So it's sort of a two-step process. You do the main part, and then you have to answer each college's individual questions. And where you access this is right here. So if you go into this presentation later, you can click on the link and you can go directly to Common App, okay? Always remember your username and password. As a counselor, when I'm trying to help you and we're sitting in my office for 10 minutes going, forgot password, it might be this, it might be that. It's not that I'm upset with you, it's just we're losing precious time. And I don't want you to have trouble accessing your application during the season, okay? Rutgers and Georgetown, I'm just trying to give you the most common examples of schools that don't accept the Common App. The good news for you guys is that a lot of past offenders that I would get frustrated with now accept the Common App. University of Maryland, James Madison. So there are parents sitting here that might remember that they didn't take it. They do now. Next slide. let's try to avoid the coalition app if we can, okay? I'm telling you, I don't like it. I don't think it's user-friendly. I think you're gonna get frustrated, and it doesn't communicate with Naviance as well as the Common App. So unless you have to use it, which is very rare, let's try to avoid it, okay? Okay, next slide. Okay, Naviance. So, when you're adding your colleges in Naviance, I do want to do a quick demo, and this is going to be tricky because Ms. Dean's going to have to control it from the back. I'm going to do a demo that shows you how to add a college, but also how to edit a college. There is a tricky thing going on, and I always meet with a few students before I do the presentation tonight so I can figure out the problems of the year. When you match up your Common App and Naviance, have any of you realized that then Naviance is showing your colleges from Common App for you? You didn't have to manually enter them? Do any students know what I'm talking about? Okay. What will happen when you match Naviance with Common App, and I'm going to talk about how to do that, is it's defaulting your deadline to the earliest deadline the school offers. So you need to manually go in and adjust your deadlines. Okay? Some colleges are automatically putting the regular decision for spring transfer. Are you guys applying to be spring transfer students? No, you're applying to be a freshman in the fall, okay, of 22. So you need to pay attention to what you're doing when you edit Naviance, all right? Otherwise, our office is going to think you have a deadline that's not actually a deadline. Okay. So Ms. Dean, this is the home screen that you come to in Naviance, right? And you access Naviance through the guidance website. Can you click on colleges I'm applying to? Now follow along with what she's doing. This list, I'm logged in as a fictitious student, Bruno Mars, because I love him. And what I'm showing you is I've already added some schools, right? So what if I want to add a school, and also what if I want to edit a deadline, right? So to add a college to the list of colleges you're applying to, you're going to click on the pink plus sign. And then you're going to choose the college. Let's do my college. Let's represent. Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. Fabulous school. I would never get in today. Okay, Washington University. It will say Washington University in St. Louis, I think. And so for years I had to explain I wasn't in Seattle, I wasn't in DC, I was in Missouri. Okay, now, see the application type up there? This is where you will adjust your deadline and when you're applying. So you need to know what you're doing, because colleges will have 2 regular decision deadlines, just to confuse you, one for the spring and one for the fall. Make sure you choose the correct one. If you're applying early decision binding, you're going to choose that. If you're applying early action, notice WashU doesn't have early action, so you can't choose that. So it does help you from making too many mistakes. And then you're going to put how you applied. WashU is a Common App school, right? You put Common App, not direct to institution. You're not doing WashU's specific application. You're doing the Common application. And then you click Add Application. You're only going to click off I've submitted my application if you've actually submitted your application on your end. Otherwise, Add Application, and now you can see WashU's been added at the bottom. Let's add another one. Let's add Rutgers, just so you can see what it looks like when it's not a Common App school. So we'll do Rutgers, New Brunswick. And then early action. Most of our students do apply early action if they're ready to go November 1st, non-binding, so why wouldn't you? And then direct to institution. Do you see that? If you click the drop-down menu, it doesn't give you an option to do Common App because Rutgers doesn't take the Common App. So can you then hit Add Application? And now you'll see Rutgers on the list, and see how it has that open computer? There's no CA inside of it. That's how you can see a school on your list that does not accept the Common App. And once you go in, if you want to change a deadline, let's say somehow, don't do this, but you missed the early action deadline for Rutgers. If you click Edit, see where it says Edit, you can change that to regular decision December 1st. This is where you're going to edit your deadlines, okay? If you're having trouble with this, you can see your counselor, but this is the stuff you have to have kind of lined up properly so it matches what you're doing in the Common App, okay? When you match, if you hit match accounts, you need to be able to match your Naviance with your Common App. Guys, you won't be able to do this until you complete certain steps in the Common application. You'll have to say what high school you go to, you'll have to add a college, you'll have to sign the FERPA. Does anybody know what the FERPA is? what that stands for? Okay, you should never sign anything in life without knowing what you're signing. So, we need for you to sign the FERPA. FERPA stands for Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. You are signing off, giving us permission to send your transcript and letters of rec, and you're also waiving your right to see your counselor letter and your teacher letters. That's a very important thing. You must waive your rights. And this is a universal practice across high schools in America, okay? Otherwise, the college is going, why do they need to see it? How do we know it wasn't edited or doctored? How do we know the teacher didn't just write something to please the student, okay? You must waive your rights. So once you sign the FERPA and you add your high school and you do a few steps in the Common App, you match it with Naviance. When you go to match it, if you click on Match Accounts, it will take you to the login for Common App. You'll log into your Common App and then it will say, do you really want to match accounts? You say yes. And then they're matched, okay? And then you're opening up a way for us, the guidance department, to send your materials to your colleges. Okay, let's move on. Okay, you must also request your teacher letters of recommendation in Naviance. So first, you're going to ask the teacher in person. Some of you might be a little behind with this. You might have asked one teacher last year, or you didn't really ask somebody, and now it's awkward. And you need to get on this, okay? Most students are going to ask two teachers. If you're not sure who to ask and you're really struggling with this, talk to your counselor. Ideally, you ask in person, right? Now that we're all here, and then you're going to send them a request through Naviance. They might ask you for a bio or a resume. Give them any information that they need. And then in Naviance, you're able to check and see when it's been sent. And we can show you that in your senior meeting. Okay, sending your SAT scores. Let's go to the next slide. Is the guidance department able to send your SAT scores? What do you think? No, that's your property. I don't have rights to your test scores, right? So for SAT and ACT, if you're sending official test scores, and just to confuse you further, a lot of colleges now will let you report your own scores. So for colleges that require official scores, if you're sending them, you have to send them, and it does take a few weeks. This is one of the things that takes the longest, okay? So just make a mental note. Every year I have one student that says, you never sent my scores, Ms. Vassia. And I look at them like, I guess I can't, okay? So make sure you're on top of this. And then subject scores, SAT subject scores tests are a thing of the past, but some of you might have taken them as freshmen. If you have subject scores you want to send, it's the same thing through the College Board. There will be an in-school SAT coming up in October, and Ms. Internicola is going to send you information about this very soon for registering and all of that good stuff. Is there anything else you wanted me to say about that? We're good. Okay, let's move on. We're trying to make up for lost time. I think Ms. I was better at that than I am. Okay. This is probably the most important thing I'm going to go over with you tonight, because a lot of you knew about the Common App and a lot of you know about Naviance, but what you may not understand is, how do you tell us to send your stuff? And when do you tell us to send your materials, okay? So this is very important. We've established how you apply. We've established how you make sure everything can be in Naviance and that it gets there, but how do you give us the green light to send it? You give us the green light to send your stuff by submitting a transcript request form. Some of you may be going, I looked for this, I couldn't find it it's not there. We intentionally held off on posting it until after tonight's presentation because there was probably misinformation out there. We wanted to really get our process for this year clear and then make it available to you, okay? The transcript request form, you must do one, it's a Google form, you must do one transcript request form for every single college that you apply to, one per college. If you apply to 10 schools, you're gonna do 10 transcript request forms, and you can only put one school on each form. You must submit this to our office at least 10 school days before your deadline, okay? And if you want to take a picture of this, this is the deadline. These are the deadlines. We went and calculated, hopefully I didn't mess it up, what is 10 school days before each deadline? That's your deadline for turning in the transcript request form. So this is one of those helpful slides that you might want to take a picture of, okay? Okay. So can you go back, Ms. Dean, to the transcript request form slide? Guys, it doesn't matter if you give this to us before or after you apply. I'm going to say that again. It doesn't matter if you want to apply on October 28th for a November 1st deadline. You can give this to us 2 weeks before that, 3 weeks before that, okay? Everything can get to the colleges in stages. We don't have to time it exactly the same, okay? It doesn't matter. What matters is you have to apply by midnight on the day of the deadline. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. After like Hurricane Irene, and there were times where the Wi-Fi was down, and you know how these things go. Your Wi-Fi, just like our projector, will not work when you need it most. So don't wait till but you must submit by midnight on the day of the deadline your stuff, okay? We also want to get everything there by that day, but you have to give us the green light to do it at least 10 school days in advance, okay? We typically ask that you give your transcript request form around a 2-week window from when you're actually applying. So if you know you're applying in January, don't give it to us this week maybe, okay? Because that tells the counselor we need to write your letter of rec and get it going. So we need a system of prioritization, so that's not super helpful if that's your first deadline. Within the form, we're doing something new this year, and I think this is going to work out really well. You are going to schedule, thank you so much, Ms. Dean. You're going to schedule an appointment with Ms. Redmond. She's our guidance admin who sends your materials through Naviance. She needs to talk to you. She needs to make sure, and guys, you're going to make mistakes, everybody does. If you put early decision by accident in Naviance, and then you put regular decision on your transcript request form, she needs to reconcile that with you. Something's wrong. You got it wrong somewhere, okay? She's a magician with this stuff, but you have to meet with her. We will not send your stuff until you do. After your first deadline, your meetings with her are going to be brief. It might be a 2-second walk by her desk when she says to you, you're good, your transcript request form was good, I sent your stuff, you're fine. But initially, you're probably going to have to sit down with her for 5 or 10 minutes, okay? We will not submit transcripts without you connecting with her. So make sure you're following all the steps. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. So past the deadlines down to where can I see what's already been sent. I was very proud of myself for finding the green check mark on the internet and pasting it in successfully. Okay. So there is something in Naviance under colleges I'm applying to. I should have shown you when we were in there. It says application milestones. If you click on that, you'll be able to see. You're going to look for that green check mark. You'll know what guidance has sent and what we haven't, okay? Don't have a nervous breakdown if your portal for, Colgate says they didn't receive your transcript yet, and you know you asked us to send it 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. There is a lag, okay? They have to get it, process it, and then update your portal. A lot of times it will not say it's received, but we have sent it. So if you're having that freak out, I want you to go to application milestones in Naviance and see that we sent it, and then take a deep breath, okay? I'm not trying to patronize you. I just know how anxiety producing this can be when you know that you've done everything you were supposed to do and you're worrying that we're gonna mess you up. We're here to support you and make it all work, right? Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, most of you will apply to some schools where they don't accept a transcript or they let you self-report your grade. It's called self-report your grades, self-reporting schools. Okay, I've given you some good examples of common ones up here if you look on the slide. Rutgers won't accept your transcript from us, okay? So when you go to self-report your grades, you need to have your transcript in front of you and you need to get it right. A lot of times kids have questions about this part of the process. We're here to help you, okay? It's mostly public schools, it's mostly large universities that do this, okay? You still need to give us a transcript request form. Why? Because we want to keep track of everything that you're doing, so we are helping you, okay? Some schools, even though they're self-reporting schools, might still accept letters of rec. So we need to know so we can send letters of rec even if they won't look at your transcript from us, okay? How's that for confusing? Just remember, you must list all schools you apply to on your transcript request forms. That's what you need to know. Okay, next slide. Let's talk about the exciting thing. Once you get all your applications out, you want to hear back, right? So for early action, early decision, you're typically going to hear within 4 to 8 weeks. 4 to 8 weeks. Getting deferred is a very tricky thing, but it happens so commonly now with early applications that I put it first on the slide. When you apply early action or early decision, what are you hoping for? That you're going to know in 6 weeks, right? You're like, oh, I'm going to have an answer. So it's maddening when you get deferred because it's basically the lack of an answer. It's telling you, thank you so much for applying early. I now am making you a regular decision applicant, and I'm rolling you into the regular decision applicant pool. Thanks, right? Like, it's very frustrating. So it's a lack of a decision, but it's not a decision. So there are many times that they're deferring you because they want more information. So you want to send them supplemental information, right? Maybe you're going to send your first marking period grades, which you can ask us to send. There'll be a form that we go through in November with you, okay? Navigating the deferred status is something your counselor can help you with. I want to plant the seed for you. When you apply early decision and you get deferred, do you think that it's still a binding agreement then with that school? No, you are free, okay? If you get deferred and you're not devastatingly heartbroken and you had a second choice really lined up, ready to go, maybe you're going to go early decision round 2 elsewhere, right? Not everybody's in the headspace to do that, right? But other kids are like, oh, I know exactly my plan. I'm going to go ED1 here, and if I don't get in, I'm going to go ED2 here. It just depends on the student. But that is something typically you can do because you'll hear in time, okay? Now, for all applications, you can be accepted, right? You can be accepted for spring term, which is like, we really want you, we just don't have enough room for you. Or you can be denied, which is obviously the hardest thing to hear. We are here for our students no matter what the decision is. Don't hide from us if you're disappointed. Let us talk you through it, right? You're not a failure. This is something that's the ugly side of this process, right? And it can happen. You can be waitlisted. When you get waitlisted, you'll still know by April 1st, okay? All of these decisions you would hear by April 1st. Again, being waitlisted is tricky. You might want to send more information. I'm going to talk about navigating the waitlist a little bit more in the next slide. So when you get your decisions, you then have from April 1st to May 1st. And if you went early decision and early action, you may have heard way before April 1st, but you have until May 1st to send a deposit. The exception to that is early decision. If you get into a school early and it's binding, you have to withdraw all of your other applications. You're going to have to send a deposit in about a month. You're done. You're done, okay? You're not doing anything May 1st. For everybody else, you'll hear from all your schools by April 1st. You have until May 1st to send a deposit. If you get waitlisted, especially if it was your #1 school and you had your heart set on it, unfortunately, you need to move on and send a deposit to another school. You need to get in the mindset of, I'm going somewhere else. Order your sweatshirt. Get excited, okay? Now, or t-shirt. All right. If that happens, though, you can choose. Usually when you're waitlisted, you can choose to stay on the wait list, right? You can say, I still want to hear. Keep me on the list. But this is not like when I sign up for my bar class at the gym and I know I'm #2 on the wait list and I better set my alarm because I might get in. No. You don't know if you're #1 or 300 on the wait list. You will not know. You can talk to us and we can say, historically, this school doesn't let students in from the wait list or whatever. We're going to have an educated conversation with you, but you kind of have to move on. And anything you'd find out later would be a bonus and a surprise. Typically, by mid-May, they let students in off the wait list, but it can be later. In unusual circumstances, it can be later, okay? It is a courtesy to notify all the schools that you're not going to, that you're not coming there, and it's really important that you guys update Naviance with all your decisions. How many of you are liking the data you get to use in Naviance? The college data, the scattergrams, how many of you are using that and liking it? I thought there'd be more of you. All right, so we need to talk about this in our senior meeting. That data doesn't get in there to help you without students doing the right thing and telling us where they're admitted and where they're denied, right? So it's really important that you pay it forward and put that information in there. At the end of the year, we automatically send your final transcript to the college that you're attending. You don't have to do anything, okay? Okay, Ms. Internicola is going to take over. I want to say one last thing, which is, when it comes to the nuts and the bolts of this process, you will make mistakes. We all do. You will make mistakes, but in my years of doing this, what I will tell you is almost every single mistake is so easily correctable, so please don't panic, okay? All right, back to Ms. I.
All right, thank you, Ms. Massia. So a few things to share with you that are related to the college process and are very important for, hold on, okay, there we go. that are important for you guys, students in the audience. So, scholarships, really important word. What do scholarships mean? They mean an opportunity for some financial opportunities for you to pay for books, for you to put towards your dorming, for you to put towards your course credits at a college, okay? They could be for a lot of different things. So how are you going to know about local scholarships? Local scholarships will begin to populate in Naviance around when we get back from the holiday break. I would say closer to like January, February, but you'll start seeing them slowly, and then all of a sudden there will be a lot of them. So what does that mean? That means you need to go into your Naviance student account and you need to actually check it regularly. It will update. It will change. So you could check it on a Monday, and by Friday there could be 5 more, okay? So I'm telling you this because, believe it or not, there are scholarships in there that could be up to $3,000, and there could be maybe 1 or 2 other students who are applied. Sometimes, sadly, we do see scholarships that no one applied to. And you do have to read what the scholarship application entails. It could mean writing an essay. It could mean just sharing things about you and your passions and what you want to do after college or high school. It could mean that a panel of people who are going to pick one person for the scholarship might want to meet you and interview you. So there's different criteria. All of it is doable. It's nothing too strenuous. It's not going to be a 2,000-page essay. It's going to be something that's going to share more about yourself to the donors that are reading this information to select a candidate for the scholarship. Okay? So really important. Ms. Redmond assists with this. So I told you there were 2 administrative assistants and guidance. Ms. Redmond, if you're walking in, she's kind of the one to the right of you. She would be happy to share with you any information you have as we get a little closer to the winter time. Okay? We're not there just yet. Merit-based scholarships. Let me just, because you're going to hear this, you may not be hearing it now. What is a merit-based scholarship? It's different than when we spoke a little earlier about the FAFSA and different types of aid, financial aid, okay? Merit-based scholarships are actually offered to you directly from a college based on criteria, usually academic, but it could be other areas, and it could be based on what major you are going to study at that college. So merit-based is actually nothing to do with us. It's going to be from the college directly. Now that means that you might qualify for some money towards your tuition from a college. Every college might offer something different, and some might offer none. But that's what a merit-based scholarship is. I will say a large portion of what they're looking at is obviously your academics. Okay? But that is nice that you might get a nice surprise and be offered a sum of money that you don't have to pay back towards your tuition or your room and board if you choose to live there. Okay? Okay, so some things to keep in mind. So I know we already shared some of these, but I'm just going to run through them quickly. You're responsible for sending your test scores. That's something you do, okay, on your own. And it's okay if your transcript gets sent by us, and that goes, directly to the school. It's okay that your SAT, ACT scores, subject test scores go through College Board or ACT. It's okay if your letters of rec go through Naviance. Things can never all go together and all get received on the same day and be processed at the same time. That would be lovely, but it doesn't happen. So just keep in mind, it's okay that we're sending things separately. That's what we're supposed to do. And it does take time to process. Let me just remind you guys about the transcript request rule, which Ms. Massey had told you guys to snap a picture of it. If you know that your deadline for applications and applying to a particular school is November 15th, you need to remember we still need 10 days to process your transcript, because we might get 200 and we process them the order in which we receive. So just keep in mind that you want to look at the dates of when things are due and get things done before that date, okay? Doesn't mean you can't apply. Your application needs to be submitted. It's okay that the transcript goes later, but remember that we need time to process your transcript, okay? List your self-reporting schools on your transcript request form. Miss I, where am I going to find this transcript request form? Some of you may have already seen it. I actually took it down because we wanted to just kind of chat more with you tonight, but I'm going to put it back up tomorrow. If you go to the guidance webpage, there's a senior tab, senior information. It's going to be listed there. And you just click on it. It's a Google form, and you can complete it per each school you're applying. Okay, so that's where you can find it. When you are filling it out, you will see information about self-reporting schools and other things that you're going to fill out for Ms. Redmond to take a look at and go over with you. Okay? Selective service, I need to tell you guys, don't forget that if you're 18, you do need to register, and there will be a time. I don't know, does that come up, Ms. Massia, do you know, in the Common App or anything? I feel like there is in the FAFSA. Okay, so you might see that. It's not, I just don't want you to be surprised. It might come up, okay? It's something that they found a different way to get students to properly register. If anyone in the audience is an NCAA, possibly looking at a Division I, okay, you've probably already connected with me. I'm just reminding you that if you have an NCAA account, you need to log in and make sure that you do all your tasks that they give you to do, and we send your transcript automatically to the NCAA if you have an account and you need it for Division I, okay? That does not apply to everyone, just some of you in this room it may apply to. Okay, I'm going to go to the next slide, parent go-to tips. So this is a little bit for the parents. Make sure that your child schedules their senior meeting, because I don't want you guys to wait too long and your counselor's really booked up and you can't get to them right away. Make sure you do that. Make sure you do it soon, okay? Remind students about in-school virtual college visits. Okay, remember, where did I say you can see where the reps are coming? Naviance, awesome. And what happens if you sign up and you don't want to go? Cancel it, because I don't want your teacher to get confused with where you are. Empower students to manage the process and be mindful of deadlines. That is probably the most important thing, and I'm telling your parents too, because there's a lot of deadlines. If you're applying to 10 schools, that might be 10 different deadlines. That might be 10 times you have to pop into guidance or do the Google form for the transcript, right? So just please be mindful that there's going to be a lot of deadlines on your plate soon, or already are. That's okay. Write them down. Put them on your refrigerator, highlight them, put them in your phone, make sure that you remind yourself of these deadlines, okay? We don't want you to miss one. Miss Massia said this, I'm just gonna share it with you because it affects me. At the end of the year, I like to put together like a tracking sheet of where all our seniors are going. And it's very hard when I start to put all of the seniors and where they're going. And I do like to share it with our superintendent. He likes to know what's going on. And I have all these students that didn't put in Naviance where they're going, and then I'm calling your house, hey, where did you decide? So please be mindful that as you start to hear back from colleges, and when you do know where you're going, to go into Naviance and track it. So I'm not going to share it with the... Yeah, you can do that. You can tell them and they can put it in for you, or you can go in and also add it. But it just helps me to see where, those slides in the beginning I showed you, I get that information from Naviance. So it's really important, and it's something that I like to see. Where are our students going? Cost and expense of college. I know this is already something that's it's like the big brick on your shoulder, both shoulders of this process, aside from deadlines and the anxiety of where I may get in, where I may not, how far from home am I going. There's also the reality of what can I afford, where do I really want to go, and what is the tuition this year of that school? Am I going to get a merit scholarship, some aid to attend that school? So this is something that as a family, you guys should talk about it. You should have a visual in your mind of how many BMWs are sitting in the driveway. That's 1 year of tuition, another year of tuition, a third year of tuition, a fourth year of tuition. Oh, I want my doctorate. Okay, now we're up at a Lamborghini. So think about those things. Visualize it, what really is taking on the debt of going to college. And it's something just to think about, okay? There are opportunities on campus when it comes time to do things, maybe be a teacher's assistant, maybe we know being an RA, if you're rooming there, to get some help towards tuition, where it's like a job, but you don't get paid, but maybe they take money off your tuition. And then there's literally opportunities sometimes to get a job around campus where you might get paid and you can have that extra money for books. So there are things, but there's a lot of students out there who want those opportunities as well. Final reminders, we have a lot of resources. Like I said to you guys, I know that there might be a lot of you sitting in this room that like aren't sure and have different ideas of what they want to do after high school. Come talk to us because it's very custom, and we would want to know what your plans are. Why are you interested in that? And then where do we go from there? Okay? Social media. I feel like we say this all the time about just high school, but I'm going to say to you, and I know that you know this, but a lot of things that you do, even years later, you get out of college and you apply for a job, it's trackable. So just please be mindful. If you're applying to a college and there's a lot of applicants, you don't know if they're searching your name to find out more about you. I'm going to be honest with you. I did meet a detective once. He used to come in. He did all this really cool stuff with cyberbullying. And he was literally hired by a college, a very prestigious college, just to go and search some of the top candidates that they were going to give full scholarships to make sure there would be nothing that they'd be embarrassed if they gave somebody a full ride and then we're like, oh my God, look what he did at a party. So believe it or not, it's a cyber social world, okay? Especially now with COVID, you have to be mindful of what represents you outside of the school, on your phone, on your computers, okay? So just be mindful that colleges, they learn things. So do the first employer you go to after college, okay? So I'm being serious. Just keep that in mind. School websites. If you're like curious about a school, is Naviance great? It is. Is Naviance overwhelming sometimes? It is. There's a lot of information. Literally, go to the college's website. A lot of them have videos of virtual tours that you could already watch. A lot of them have students speaking, showing you downtown if there's a downtown area. I find the most helpful thing is to literally go to the school's website if you can't go see it in person and take a look through exploring it that way, okay? Scattergrams, we spoke about that. Continue to work hard all year. I know, again, you're going to hear us say this a lot, but it is super important. Could it happen that, especially now with the changes in what we're seeing with acceptances to colleges, is it possibly that we're seeing more wait lists and they want to see how you do? Yes. So just represent yourself all year, okay? I know that's hard. I know it's hard, especially in the spring. It gets hotter out. It's like you want to feel a little free. Summer's coming. You're going to go off to college. But if you were waitlisted to a school, they might still be watching you. We send your mid-year, just so you know, we send a transcript now as you come in and request them. We send a mid-year transcript to every school that you apply. Even if you're like, I don't even really want to go to that school, we're sending them your scores, okay? And then when you guys are all finished and you graduate and I recalculate all the things, all your grades, and I do all that fun stuff, takes me a couple days to process everything, we send your final transcript to where you're going to school. So you're totally not 100% off the hook. We're still sending representation of your grades to the school that you're going to after you graduate, okay? So just keep that in mind. It's important for you to know that. So your counselors are here to help. They're going to basically be here to answer any questions you have along the way for both students and parents. So make that appointment. Make sure that if questions come up, you write them down, because I know that, like, for myself, if I don't write it down on a Post-it note or in my phone, it might be gone. So write them down. And you know what? Email your counselor. Pop on down. Or you know you're going to meet with them, bring your list of questions, okay? So what are the few things you need to bring with you when you meet with your counselor? You need to bring Chromebook. Junior survey needs to be done, right? If you didn't do it, you're going to do it and get it to your counselor before your meeting. You need to make sure you have all your passwords and usernames to Naviance and the Common App. Does that sound pretty good? Okay, so what we'll do is Miss Massey and I will stay. Thank you guys so much for working with us in the beginning, and thank you to the gentleman who helped me with the HDMI cable. Thank you so much. We will stay in case you have some questions. Otherwise, you are free to go. Thank you so much.